I don't have any faith in that either. Again, this feels like classic get right game. I mean, you look at this Tennessee Titans offense, and I'm just kind of trying to look at some of their stats here. And even in the receiving game, like Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd being their two receivers that led the team. DeAndre Hopkins, I think, is just well past his prime at this point. I don't think that Will Levis has the weapons necessary to correct the mistakes that he makes. And because of that, I think he's one of those classic strong arm quarterbacks. I don't have anybody open. I'm going to make it happen. And he just doesn't have that kind of talent just yet. He hasn't developed into that. And that's why he makes all of these mistakes. Tries to play hero ball in a way that doesn't usually work out for first and second year quarterbacks. And I think, again, against a Jets defense that's going to be eager to bounce back after a lackluster week one performance, but still has a ton of talent at all three levels of the defense. Yeah, to me, this is the week where Will Levis just compounds. I think that it gets worse for him, actually. He had the fumble loss, he had 2 interceptions, and now he's going up against an even better defense. And I think that his issues might get kind of compounded here just based on the lack of talent surrounding him. So, like you said, not the best offensive line. Yeah, the rushing attack might give you some fears, but at the end of the day, I just really like the way that this poor Titans offense matches up with a, on paper, very good Jets defense.
Yeah, Peter S says Will McDonald strip sack incoming. He was very MIA against the San Francisco 49ers, but honestly, I would not be surprised if something like that happened in this game. He at Iowa State was a strip sack artist. He had actually, of the edge rushers pass rushing, not that he did it often, because I think they only pressured Brock Purdy on 3 times on 31 dropbacks, which is just not very good. But anyway, moral of the story, that wouldn't shock me at all, especially with a young quarterback who can have, be prone to holding onto the football for too long. If he gets loose and starts screaming around the edge, that would not shock me in the least if they strip sacked him, specifically Will McDonald with his speed on the edge.
Yeah, no doubt. I do think that brings up a good question for me to ask you, though. A lot of Jets fans said Hassan Reddick was a luxury. I've been reading a lot about this. I don't think he was a luxury. I think that he was a necessity. I assume he's not playing this week either. How are you feeling about this? Like what's going on? How do the Jets kind of course correct here and get their pass rush back on track?
Yeah, I felt a little vindicated, honestly, from this week 1 performance. I'm not going to lie. Because something that I talked a lot about that I got a lot of pushback on was that the Jets actually needed Hassan Reddick, and that trading away John Franklin Myers for a couple nickels was a terrible idea and really poor roster management. And the Jets get gashed in the run game. Michael Clemens, whose strength is supposed to be as a run defender, looked horrible. So not passing his first test as the JFM replacement. But then for Hassan Reddick, I understand that they weren't in 3rd and long a lot in this game and they couldn't pin their ears back and go, but Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald, Michael Clemens, Takk McKinley, none of them were getting home. So yeah, when you have someone who in his sleep is giving you 10 plus sacks, I think he would have helped in that game. The run defense was definitely the bigger issue, but Hassan Reddick being out there also helps the run defense because it takes Michael Clemens off the field, who was horrible in this game. So I think it's an issue. I would like the Jets to get Hassan Reddick back out there ASAP. This feels like it has no end in sight. I don't know what's going to happen here.
Neither do I. And I'm very confused how we've gotten to this point. I'm very confused what the resolution will be. Again, like you said, no end in sight. It's tough to kind of project how this gets resolved. But I do have another question for you, and this is one that's very personal to me. I need an answer because of my dynasty league. Where was Malachi Corley? Do I expect to see him on the field soon? Do I expect to make him or see him become an impactful player for this team anytime soon? Please, oh my God, please, can he start to get some snaps?
I would really hope so. He had one snap in this game. Mike Williams had 9. Robert Saleh said today, or not today, excuse me, yesterday, that he'd like to get those guys more involved. I'm going to say it's going to probably be like a month is going to be my guess. We're going to see about another month of Allen Lazard before we get in some Malachi Corley. So I would hope you don't have to be in a spot where he is playing for you this week.
I would also hope that. But I think that I'm one injury away from this dynasty team collapsing is how I feel. And
Okay.
I need to know Corley is on the horizon to give me some reps soon. Again, this is my 20-man big time NFL Sim Dynasty League with IDPs. I need a better performance out of Jermaine Johnson as well. That's for sure. Because I also have him as one of my IDPs here. But yeah, I need to see some Corley ball. Otherwise, I'm going to start to get really concerned with the future of my team.
Peter S says, please play the rookies this week. So that's another one too. Braylon Allen did not get any rushes until the final drive when they pulled Aaron Rodgers and put Tyrod Taylor in, which I also don't think helped Breece Hall. When Breece wasn't able to get going, I don't know why you don't, shake it up and put Allen in there for a couple carries. And it's something that they do a lot. Rico says it right under it. The Jets love starting their rookie slow to a fault, in my opinion. They even eased in Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, which is true. But if you're going to roster Braylon Allen as your second running back, you have to use him. You can't not use your second running back because he's a rookie and you don't trust him. Like, where was he on that 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 possession that the Jets weren't able to convert? Like, why wasn't he getting short yardage touches? It doesn't make any sense.
I have to be totally honest with you. There are a lot of things that happened in week 1 where throughout the offseason, when I kept mentioning my question marks with this team and how they relate to some of the personnel decisions that Robert Saleh makes, those questions only got more amplified in week 1 because of decisions like this. Like, you do have young, talented players. I mean, not that the Giants are any sort of gold standard for NFL success, but they played pretty much all of their rookies in week 1. Their best performers in week 1 ended up being their rookies. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes rookies go out there and they do exceed your expectations and play well, but that's not going to happen. And those players aren't going to develop unless you give them some playing time. So I'm actually with Peter here. I think that we need to see the rookies play more. I think that the Jets have some potentially impactful rookies on their roster. And why roster them if you're not going to play them? I do think it's due time for some playing time to be handed out to some of these young guys.